that South Africa, although they had only 208 to defend, were going to be able to do this with their bowling attack. So lots to talk about, but just one basic glance at that scorecard, Ajit. India is not going to score 200 odd and 135 and win test matches overseas. Till the time Indian teams travel with the bat like this, the result's going to be the same.
Yeah, I don't think any team scoring a 200, just over 200 and then 130 are going to win too many test matches. I mean, India had a golden opportunity today. You saw periods of that game when Virat and Rohit were at the crease and then Ashwin and Bhuvi were there. 209, 208 was gettable. It's a disappointing batting performance second time around. First time around, you can perhaps excuse them. It's the first time they batted on this trip really in a proper game, and unfortunately it was a test match. But the second innings, I think they got better of the batting conditions. South Africa had the tougher of batting conditions in both innings. Yeah, I think India will be very disappointed. I think if you ask Virat Kohli for his honest opinion, and he said it at the post-match, 208 was something India would be fancying their chances to get.
The point Gaurav makes to start, as long as India make 209 or 135, they're not going to win overseas. What's the mood you reckon right now as they look back? Just any batsman in that top 5 would be saying, if just I would have carried on, one of us would have carried on, would have made life easier. There was some serious resolve from Ashwin and Bhuvi towards the end.
No, absolutely. But no, we said it, Ronak. We identified it after over 30. It eased up. It was like almost two halves when each team batted. The difficulties in the early 30 and then after that. It definitely the distinct sort of difference. But they need personnel change. Some will think about how they got out. There were some soft dismissals. I mean, Rohit again looking so good. Virat got dragged across straight in front. We can go on and talk about it. But if India are to be effective up front, they're going to have to look at Shikhar Dhawan. So, going forward, if they continue to have bad starts, they're not going to get anywhere in the series.
Yeah, I'm sure as we go on, Gaurav, we will talk about what possible changes they could make for the second test. But after very long, it's been a test match that's got people talking, frustrated, venting. I don't know what the feeling would be. Like Daryl said, would it be one off? There's still plenty to take from this test, and it's been a good start, or one that this was so close to being 1-0 up, and how they reflect on that?
Yeah, yes, go ahead.
My opinion, the other thing is the preparation has not been good. I mean, when you pride yourself on doing well abroad, both the captain and the coach have spoken about an opportunity. Maybe you don't get the greatest quality of practice games, but then it's in your hand how you can plan it. You can't just turn up and your first real competitive innings in conditions which are so alien to you, which you've not actually travelled at all over the last few months. In those conditions, you've got to prepare a little bit better. Your first innings can't be almost a shock to you. And these were proper South African conditions. Okay, you could have gotten away if it was a slightly flatter pitch. But once you got those conditions, you are always going to be in trouble. So the preparation's not been good enough if you want to go abroad and win or compete in the first test itself.
Yeah, and what you say, Ajit, is no surprise really, because this conversation has been had before. This is exactly what's been discussed in many times on overseas when India have gone for overseas tours. What is the preparation that they need? Do they need to go in early? Do they need to get practice games in? And Darren, I believe you have a view on this as well. I mean, quite clearly, India playing against Sri Lanka, in Sri Lanka and at home, then one-day series against Sri Lanka, T20 games, is just almost a completely different sport to what they encountered in South Africa in this first test match.
Well, batsmen will tell you it's always more difficult to adjust up than to adjust down. And I've been outspoken about this for a long time now. Even sides where we go away and you get this sort of token gesture of a warm-up game. And you're selling the game short. You're selling your team's chances short. If you arrive, I'm exactly on the same page as Ajit on this. You just can't expect to just walk in and be on top of your game. Yes, India will get better. I know they will get better. But you're straight into the second test match just next week. It's invaluable. When I started playing, you still had tours where you played 2, 3, 4 hard games. Then you played the second best 11 in the country as the game before the test match. Those moments and that practice time around that set you up for the rest of your tour. So you take a guy like, just to use it, Dhawan for example, doesn't play. Well, he doesn't play again. He doesn't have games in between that to try and find some form. So almost like you've got to hit the ground running on top of your game in these conditions. Now, how many players get that right every single time? Not too many. And you look up, 3 match series, you're 1 down. So what's the point?